but I've been applying for jobs and taking meetings and collaborating on things that, well, they don't pay my bills yet. So I'm starting to reach a point where I'm like, okay, this is annoying. F it, I'm just gonna start my own business. I really didn't want to go down the route of taking a small business loan. I feel like in games, that is just a bad plan in general because games don't make a lot of money. Also, some games take a really long time to make. Either way, my back pocket game plan has been to take that game of mine, Smiles. You may or may not have heard of it. You probably haven't heard of it unless you know me. It's a game I made back in 2008. With it, I was a finalist in the IGF mobile. There was a short-lived IGF just for mobile games. I was a finalist there, So I can say I was an IGF finalist. I've entered some other contests, a bunch with Intel that won me a car. So when I refer to the tiny car, I actually won that making games. And there's a variety of other cash prizes and other prizes and hardware and gifts and strange stuff that I somehow managed to win with this game. Mind you, my whole business model operation was to literally take this game and anybody that was offering a prize or something, a store, an opportunity, I would take the game and make it work on their platform. There was a brief period where there were lots of companies vying to be the next big platform. I built this cross-platform game for iPhone and PC, so I just took my code, did the necessary changes, and made it run on all these platforms. Thanks to standards like OpenGLES, that was very straightforward. Like, it's almost comical how many platforms were out there. Television set-top boxes, at least a dozen different types of smartphones, the black and white Amazon Kindles. So that was my shtick, taking my game and making it work on many platforms. I will say, that was a great way to win prizes, and I totally did. But we also saw a big shift in how games were sold back then. When I first released Smiles, free-to-play was not really well established as a viable business model. Also was the idea of actually finishing a game, okay? Hear me out here. When I released my game, there were a lot of games that, say, did not even have sound in them, and that blew my mind. This is a game that I built completely from start to finish. It was done. I had no features to add, but had I paid attention to the market, oddly enough, it turns out I could have launched a lot sooner. This game took me 4 months to make initially. To finish it, to polish it, to add the sound, the music, all the little subtle, fancy schmancy details. But the thing is, the game worked in the first few weeks. I could have released something and taken advantage of the so-called gold rush. But I didn't. Anyway, the nagging idea in the back of my head has been take my game Smiles and make it a free-to-play game for like so many years. Is that a viable business model? I don't know, maybe. But I suppose the one thing about business is if you can do the one thing that no one else is doing, the sky's the limit. Or not, and you lose a lot of money, and you become very sad. So I've begun exploring what Canada has to offer. There's kind of a joke amongst game industry folks that Canada money will pay for it. And this is something I've never particularly had access to. When I ran my business the first time, it was a sole proprietorship. A lot of these programs require proper incorporation. And this was just something I didn't want to deal with because, well, more taxes is not more fun. But I feel like I'm reaching the point where I'm tired of waiting for someone to offer me a job. And F it, I'm just going to start my own business. I have a very specific product in mind. I know that it was created in 4 months initially. If I get some help with it in some of the areas that I'm looking to actually make money with it, it might go a little quicker or not, due to additional overhead and paperwork. But this is a game that can be finished in a fixed amount of time, which is not necessarily the case for a lot of games that I want to make. Us game makers tend to sometimes be really bad at predicting how long something is going to take. Especially if it's a game that we really like, that we really care about, and want it to be the best game it can be. We have a tendency to go too far. which is my motto, go too far. And I'm hoping the fear of having to repay a loan convinces me to push this out faster. I've actually been debt-free for a long time now, so to go back into debt's a bit scary for me. This is maybe a bit too inside baseball, but if you're a Canadian like me, one of the programs I'm currently looking at is called Futurepreneur. It's a somewhat amusing program to me because it's only available to business owners under the age of 40, and I turn 40 in July. If I want to take advantage of this low interest loan, I gotta get my shiznit together. There's a few other programs I'm looking at, but there's also a lot of COVID stuff going on, so I don't know what or how accessible a lot of these are going to be at the moment. I know eventually we're going to have to do the whole, hey, reestablish the economy, start new businesses and whatnot. So there might be some benefit coming, but at the moment, we'll see. Anyway, I'm hungry. I've been staring at this bread for the past I don't know how long, and I want to eat it. We'll see you later.